Imagine standing on a flat heath 5 miles north of Thetford. The ground beneath your feet is ordinary, marshy in places, scattered with low brush and rabbit warrens. Nothing suggests that the fate of a kingdom will be decided here. And yet the air feels different, heavy, like something ancient is about to awaken. You stand with thousands of armed men around you, English soldiers, East Anglian levies, men who have come to defend their land. They are nervous. They have heard the stories. They know what is coming from the sea. And if you look closely at their faces, you will see something that no amount of training can prepare you for. They are about to face an enemy that does not just fight like a machine. They are about to face an enemy that has rewritten what terror means in warfare. This is the story of Ringmere Heath. This is the story of the day England discovered what psychological collapse looked like on a battlefield. And if you want to understand how empires truly fall, you need to watch this moment unfold. If you have not already, please join our community. This is where we uncover the forgotten moments that shaped civilizations. Let us begin. The year is 1010. Easter has just passed. In the frozen rivers of Kent and Essex, a Danish fleet has been waiting. 160 ships, possibly more. It is not a raiding party. This is an invasion force, professional warriors, men led by Thorkell the Tall, a chieftain whose name has become synonymous with something that the English have come to fear more than death itself. Not just military prowess, not just superior numbers, but something far more terrifying: the ability to move like water, to strike when you are unprepared, to break not your body, but your will to continue fighting. The Danes break camp after Easter. They sail east. They land at Ipswich with a kind of speed and precision that suggests they know exactly what they are doing. They have been here before. They know the land. They know where the English are gathering. They know Thorkell is assembling an army. Thorkell Snillinger, the bold one. This is the man who nearly defeated Svein Forkbeard himself in 1004. The Danes said of that battle, and listen to this carefully because it matters, they said that they had never encountered worse fighting in England than Thorkell brought them. This man is a legend. His name is actually Scandinavian in origin, a sign of the complexity of England at this moment in history. East Anglia exists in the Danelaw. These lands were settled by Danish and Norwegian ancestors generations ago. The population is a mixture of Old Norse and English blood. Thorkell himself is the ealdorman, the second highest rank in Anglo-Saxon England, though he was never formally given the title. He is something more and something less than an official lord. He is the military heart of East Anglia. And when word comes that a Danish fleet has landed, Thorkell does what he has always done. He gathers his army. But here is the thing. The Danes move faster than he expects. The force that Thorkell is assembling is not yet complete. His full strength is not ready. He needs more time. But the Danish commander does not give him time. Thorkell the Tall is an experienced predator. He understands that a half-assembled army is a terrified army. And so, on the 5th of May, 1010, he advances from Ipswich inland toward Ringmere. The East Anglian scouts bring word. The Danes are coming. The battle will happen here. Now. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. The English soldiers who gather on Ringmere Heath do not have the luxury of perfect preparation. They have what Thorkell could gather in the time allowed. Men from East Anglia, soldiers from Cambridgeshire, local nobles, local leaders, the best they could do under the circumstances. We do not know exact numbers. The chronicles do not tell us. But we know this. The Danes brought somewhere between 3,000 and 6,000 men, professional warriors, disciplined, experienced in amphibious assaults, experienced in fighting enemies larger than themselves. The English force was likely larger, based on the fact that these were regional levies of multiple shires. But larger does not always mean stronger. Larger does not always mean more cohesive. And here is where psychology enters the battlefield. What we know about fear in medieval warfare is this. It does not arrive with the enemy. It arrives before them. It travels faster than any army. It whispers in the minds of soldiers who have heard stories. Soldiers who know the reputation of men like Thorkell the Tall. Soldiers who understand that this is not a border skirmish. This is an invasion. This is an existential threat. The chronicles describe the moment differently than we might expect. There is no grand clash of armies. There is no heroic stand. Instead, what happens is something more instructive about human nature under extreme conditions. The battle begins. The Danes advance. And then, suddenly, the East Anglian contingent does something that will echo through history. They flee. Not all of them, not the brave ones, but a critical mass of them. And the catalyst is a man named Thorkell. The chronicles call him Thorkell Mare's Head. This is not a flattering nickname. But here is the remarkable detail. Thorkell is himself of Danish origin. He is a thane, a noble, whose family came from Scandinavian stock. So imagine what this does to the morale of the English soldiers. The man who leads the flight is not even fighting an external enemy. He is a man who shares their blood, a man who should be fighting beside them, and yet he runs. The message this sends is devastating. If someone from the Danelaw itself is terrified, what hope do we have? The East Anglians begin to panic. The discipline breaks. Soldiers turn and run. Now listen, this is important. Not all of them. The men of Cambridgeshire, hearing the roar of the Danes, seeing their comrades flee, make a different choice. They stand. They form their lines. They refuse to break. The Danes crash into them. The fighting becomes savage. Heavy losses on both sides. Noble leaders die. The chronicles mention men of Bedfordshire and Huntingdon who fall in this chaos. The Cambridgeshire men hold longer than anyone has the right to expect, but they are fighting alone. The main English force has dissolved. The Danes have the field. The momentum belongs to the enemy. And eventually, even the Cambridgeshire soldiers are overwhelmed. What emerges from Ringmere is not a simple military victory. It is a psychological rout. It is proof of something that Thorkell the Tall has been trying to demonstrate to all of England. The psychological warfare is as important as the physical warfare. The fact that you can break an army without destroying every man. The fact that terror spreads faster than courage. The fact that one man fleeing can undo the discipline of thousands. This is not a secret that the Danish commander kept hidden. This is a lesson written in blood on Ringmere Heath for all to read. Thorkell survives the battle. He is not killed. He walks away from Ringmere still possessing respect, still possessing honor, because even the Scandinavian skalds, the Norse poets, acknowledge his valor. The Norse traditions speak of him with a reverence that suggests they understood something fundamental. They had defeated a worthy opponent. They had not destroyed a coward. They had overcome a man of genuine martial skill. This is what makes Ringmere different from a simple massacre. This is what elevates it from mere conquest to something that echoes through centuries. But the victory belongs completely to the Danes. And now comes the aftermath that tells us the true nature of psychological defeat. For 3 months, the Danish army ravages East Anglia. 3 months of systematic destruction. 3 months where no English force rises to oppose them. They are not opposed. They burn Thetford. They burn Cambridge. They take horses from the fallen English soldiers and use them for mobility. Transform the tools of defeat into instruments of conquest. They move across the region with impunity. No one stops them. No one else has the courage to face them, because what has happened at Ringmere has sent a message far beyond that heath. It has traveled faster than any messenger. It has told every ealdorman, every local lord, every military leader in England that these Danes cannot be stopped by force alone. That even when you win in terms of numbers, you can lose in terms of will. That even when you gather an army and place it in the field, something intangible can break the entire enterprise. That an enemy who understands the psychology of warfare is more dangerous than an enemy who simply brings larger forces. And so the message spreads like poison through the English kingdom. When the Danes are in the east, the English king keeps his army in the west. When the Danes move south, the army moves north. There is no coordination. There is no unified resistance. There is no bold ealdorman willing to stand again. The English are playing a losing game of chase across their own land. Aethelred the Unready, the king at this moment, faces a different kind of enemy than his father faced. An enemy that cannot be met with traditional military responses. An enemy that understands that breaking morale is more effective than breaking shields. Within 6 years, Edmund Ironside will be fighting Canute for control of the kingdom itself. The collapse will be complete. The Danish conquest will be inevitable. And Ulfketel, the man who nearly broke Sweyn Forkbeard in 1004, the man whose name was still spoken with respect by the enemy, will die at the Battle of Assendon in 1016, fighting to the end, fighting alongside Edmund Ironside, but unable to stem the tide that began with a single moment of panic on Ringmere Heath. But here is what makes Ringmere truly significant. It is not a battle that destroyed the greatest empire. It is not a confrontation between the most famous warriors. It is a moment where we can see, in perfect clarity, how psychology defeats tactics, how reputation defeats numbers, how the breaking of one man's will breaks an entire formation, how fear, once it enters an army, spreads like poison through every vein. Ulfketel himself is remembered with surprising respect by both the English chroniclers and the Norse skalds. The Scandinavian poets call him Ulfkel Snillinger, the Bold One. They name East Anglia itself Ulfkelslandi, Ulfketel's land. This is remarkable. This is an enemy acknowledging an enemy's valor even in defeat. The Norse sagas, preserved in works like Heimskringla, the saga of Olaf Haraldsson, record that Saint Olaf himself fought alongside Thorkell the Tall at Ringmere Heath. Whether this is history or legend, we cannot say with certainty. But the fact that the Norse tradition preserves this moment, that it commemorates it, that it sees it as worthy of inclusion in the sagas of kings, tells us something. This battle mattered to history. This battle was remembered. This moment on a flat heath in East Anglia changed the course of England. What you see at Ringmere is the mechanism by which empires fall. Not through lack of soldiers, not through military inferiority, but through the collapse of collective will, through the demonstration that no matter how many men you field, one moment of panic, one moment of lost nerve, can cascade into total defeat. Thorkell the Tall understood this. This is why he was feared, not because he was the strongest warrior, not because he was the most skilled swordsman, but because he understood something deeper about human nature. He understood that armies are not machines. They are organisms, vulnerable organisms, subject to fear, subject to despair, subject to the power of reputation and the weight of expectation. The Danes who came to Ringmere Heath in 1010 were not 10 times better than the English, but they were disciplined, they were experienced, they moved with purpose, and they understood that the mind breaks before the body does. 6 years after Ringmere, the Danish conquest of England will be complete. Canute will be king. The English crown will pass to Scandinavian hands. The events that began on that heath will reshape the political landscape of the British Isles. But Ringmere itself remains something more than just a step on the path to conquest. It is a perfect moment of clarity, a moment where we can see exactly how fear operates, exactly how it spreads, exactly how it destroys. The men of Cambridgeshire, who held their ground and refused to break, are the true heroes of this story. They fought against panic. They fought against the tide. They fought knowing that the battle was already lost, knowing that their comrades had fled, knowing that they were fighting for nothing but honor. And they held anyway. That is the kind of courage that survives history. That is the kind of bravery that transcends the centuries. Now, drop a comment below. Which moment do you think was the true turning point at Ringmere? Was it Thurseytel's flight? Was it the moment when the Cambridgeshire men refused to break? Or was it something deeper, something in the psychology of the moment that made both defeat and resistance inevitable? We want to know what you think. We want to hear from you, because history is not finished when the battle ends. History continues in the minds of those who remember it. And you, watching this now, are part of that continuation. You are part of the chain that keeps these moments alive, and that matters. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring about the moments that shaped our world. See you in the next one.